now at the FCS and the Ivy League. So it's really great to get a chance to network and talk some ball with some guys and go over some things that I thought we did a really good job of this past season. It didn't necessarily go entirely the way that we wanted to. Had to finish some more games and had some close ones that a lot didn't go directly in our favor, but did do some good things this year. And I'm excited to see our guys getting back into the weight room this past week and a half as they get back on campus. And really, I think a group of guys that have been humbled by this past season and are ready to go and are hungry to put in the work necessary to get to where we say we want to be and being competitive on a week in and week out basis here in this 2022 season. So without further ado, just kind of talking about in general shot plays and kind of different situations and why we like to take advantage of defenses in those certain situations. So the first and foremost being of sudden change. So really the title that Chris had in the Facebook setting was kind of where I wanted to start this. And really that situation where our defense gets a turnover or a big play just happened to where that defense is on their heels, potentially playing a base or even getting into a pressure situation when their backs are against the wall is really a good opportunity to strike fast. Looking at that next piece of it, second and short in analytics, we found working with an analytics company that we used in the offseason, teams on a drive series success rate are significantly more likely to score if you can manufacture 2 or more explosive plays of 20 yards or greater. So a big emphasis of us this season was trying to find certain situations like a sudden change or a second and third and short where we know that we had a down or two to gain that first down to move the chains to take advantage of a situation. We can take a free play to really sell the run action hard, take a shot to take the top off the defense, and still, even if we didn't convert and get that big play, we had an opportunity to then go for it on third down, try to convert, or in certain situations where we felt we were on the plus side of the 50, we're in that 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1 type situation. We still knew we were going to go for it on 4th down. It's really treating 3rd down like the new 2nd down with kind of this analytics movement that a lot of teams are going towards. And we did that a lot this past year. Seeing from the box, seeing from the sideline when the defense is being aggressive into the run fit. So we played a bunch of quarters teams this past year that you'll see on film when those safety wanted to do trigger into the run fit as opposed to maybe RPO and we're doing some different things or straight up marrying a run action to our play action pass game to get those defenders fit up into the run and take the top off the defense was something that we did with consistency throughout the year and then really in that fringe area. So right before you get into the red zone, so really that 35 to 25 yard line area, it's a lot harder to score in the red zone when the defense has the extra defender of the back line. So taking a shot right before we get into that red zone area to try to score before we get into the red zone. Because once we get a little bit closer to the goal line, things happen a lot faster. Defenses want to condense the box and can play some different coverages where it's a little bit harder to score consistently in the red zone in that nature. So really the why behind it, building upon those situations, looking at aggressive quarters teams or teams that want to rotate into one high and be +1 in the run fit. We don't want to run into bad numbers and put ourselves in a disadvantage in the run games when we see teams that start to do that, taking the RPO decision off the quarterback and allowing him to go through a true progression read, I think takes something off the plate. In an RPO type system, asking the quarterback to be right every single play can result in turnovers, can result in bad decisions, especially for younger guys that are just learning the offense. So anytime that we can take an extra decision off of the quarterback's plate, especially when he's developing, I think is a great deal for us as an offense and something that can help alleviate some of that pressure, especially for younger guys. And then finally, like I talked about earlier, creating explosive plays, trying to not necessarily have to convert as many first downs and put ourselves in those situations and score on big plays. Being able to create plays of 20 yards or more is something that we look to do 5 or more times every single game that had a direct correlation. When we did that more often, we were scoring more points and winning more football games. That's kind of the why behind the shot play. And before I got into the schematics and the film, kind of wanted to talk about the pre-snap checklist that I'll talk about with quarterbacks that I've coached in the past. And that acronym that I like to use to kind of give them the big picture of pre-snap IDing the defense is FRESCO. So the F beginning that acronym front, So is the defense in a 3-down or 4-down front? How does that dictate potentially a pressure situation? They like to blitz the shade or blitz the bubble. Does that give a tell to whether they're going to be in coverage or bringing pressure? So in this picture that we have here to the right, the quarterback would go through his checklist, see they're on a 4-down front, potentially in a game plan situation, understand how that dictates where the pressure might be coming from to adjust the protection. And here they're in a wide front with 2-3 techniques and 2 wide defensive ends that we would ID as a wide front here at Cornell. Second, looking at safety rotation. So is the middle of the field open or closed, and are those safeties tilted? Are they middle of the field open, similar to how you see in this picture, and one safety is cheated towards the middle of the field and one safety is down, potentially giving us a look to where we could get some sort of a quarter shell and he could be poaching number 3 across, or we could get some safety rotation and them to spin the middle of the field closed. Are these safeties both outside the hash and playing at depth to give us a cover 2 shell, or are they playing at about 10 yards outside the hash and playing in a quarter shell? And then finally, could they potentially just already be rotated into some sort of a middle of the field close type coverage to give us an indicator of where they will be at post snap? Next thing, talking about eyes. So eyes of the defenders. Are eyes in the backfield, or are they in more of a man alignment? So this can help us give a man or zone ID. So in this picture here, looking at the boundary corner, his eyes are looking directly at that boundary receiver, probably playing some sort of a man or meg principle on the backside of this coverage. Here, the overhang or the nickel defender, the Sam linebacker in this picture, he's tilted a little bit inside with his eyes towards the quarterback, potentially on some sort of a blitz path, seeing his alignment below that 5-yard deck where the rest of the linebackers are at. And we'll talk about safety rotation, how that plays a part into the big picture as far as where pressure might be coming from here in a second. Next piece of that is safeties and stack. So we talked about where the safeties alignment is at with the rotation, but also looking at where they are stacking to potentially replace a blitzing linebacker. So we talked about the Sam having eyes inside, cheating his depth from that 5-yard hard deck of where normally linebackers will play at. We see safety rotation to this linebacker, and we see this safety rotating down to cover him in the stack alignment. With all those things in play, we're probably going to tell our quarterback to slide the protection to this Sam linebacker. And once again, just looking at corners, are they off? Are they inside? And are they playing a man technique? And putting all those things together to help us give the overall picture and how those things can change how we read a play, how we set a protection, or how we make a decision in an RPO type setting. And this is all pre-snap checklist, and it has to happen like that. And I think the best way to go through it is to go through film and asking quarterbacks the question in the meeting room of what they're seeing on a snap in and snap out basis. And then also putting these things into your post-snap read, as we'll talk about with some of the different concepts that we're talking about with the shot plays and play action pass game coming up here in a minute. Any questions that we have so far about pre-snap indicators and why we call shot plays?
No, nothing right now.
Awesome. So marrying the run action to the play action pass game, we must establish the threat of run. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be ripping off 15, 20-yard explosive plays to establish the threat of run, but you can't just go in and be a air raid based team and throwing the ball 20 times in the first quarter and expect to establish the threat of run. It doesn't have to be explosive, doesn't even have to be efficient, but you have to at least sell the threat of running the football and create the illusion of run action to the defense. So, and the way that we'll do that is using similar formations, using similar motions, and a similar run action that's married to our play action pass protection that we'll look at some schemes here coming up in a second. We can mix both zone-based and gap-based protections to try to marry it with both of our inside, outside zone, as well as some power, counter, and some trap action pass game. We can also create a max pro type situation to where we're keeping 7 in the protection to give the quarterback the time to really sell the play action, know that he's protected, and still go through his progression and understanding that he has the time to do all these things with a 7-man max pro type situation. We can also chip extra defenders, keep a tight end in to chip and then release out onto a route if we're going up against a better defensive end or a team that we feel has a matchup problem with on the interior, exterior by keeping guys in the chip and the protection. We also want to force safety rotation and linebackers to delay their coverage drop. So if we can create a free release for a receiver, or we can create safety rotation to give the quarterback a look at that before he gets into his drop. Those are all advantages to us on the offensive side of the ball. So the first, just base looking at protection here, is one that's married to our inside zone-based scheme. So in this picture here to the left, this is just really a half slide protection. We can keep the tight end in as if we're running inside zone with a backside cutoff. So they'll man up here on the backside. We'll get a play action fake from our running back. And now if we're setting the protection, sliding to the left, these guys are going to slide and go 3 for 3 for the in a 4 down front, the defensive end, the interior tackle, and the ID'd linebacker as ID'd by our quarterback. The running back will be reading -1 to -2 inside out, opposite of the slide call and opposite of the ID. So based off of that, if these guys are immediate threats, say we got a Mike walked up in the A gap and the Will walked up in the or in the B gap rather here, and the Will walked up in the A gap, we might abort the fake and just have this running back get off of his fake path and pick up the blitzing linebacker immediately. Now, if these guys are playing at depth and there's no indicator of pressure to the side that the back is responsible for, we can carry out our fake, sell the run action, and really get these guys committed down the run fit. Same deal here. We're going to be sliding to the left. They're going to go 4 for 4 over here. We're reading -1 to -2 here on the backside, keeping that tight end in the protection to sell inside zone with the backside cutoff. So this first clip I got here is the run action. Just running inside zone here with the backside cutoff. We're going to get base block out to here, a double team from our play side guard and our center up to the play side inside linebacker, and a double team on the backside with our backside tackle and backside guard up to the -1 linebacker. We're going to dig out that C gap defender. And this is really the only unblocked guy is the corner here on the backside. The back will press the aiming point, get this linebacker to commit downhill, and then bend this thing backside. Now all he has to do is win one-on-one versus a corner. If we can force corners to tackle, that should be a matchup win for us. And we get a positive 13-yard gain. Next play here, not really looking at the pass concept so much, but using a similar formation that we used throughout this game, using a condensed 3-by-1 type set, getting an orbit motion to force these safeties on the back end to communicate and rotate coverage. We slide into the blitzer here off of this weak side Will linebacker who's already walked up. Quarterback does a good job of setting his protection to where these guys are going to go 3 for 3. Center, guard, and tackle are accounting for the play side tackle, play side end, and the slide side linebacker. Running back is now going to check from -1 to -2. Now we're going to run a post dig action here on the top of the screen. Quarterback, if we got a cover 0 type look where they're bringing all out pressure and we got to get the ball out right now, would first look to the alert here on the go ball. Second look here would be this post dig action to where he's going to be keying this half safety right here, the split field safety. If he wants to trigger down and play on the dig in some sort of a man or a quarters type shell, we got the safety or the corner rather playing off in a back pedal, playing outside leverage, where we should be able to take a shot on him with the post here as we do for a touchdown. Looking at it from the tight angle, really selling a hard run play fake. You see the quarterback dictating the protection. We get the blitz picked up. We sell the hard run action fake. Do a better job of really selling that run action from the quarterback, opening up the pocket and rolling over the fake from the running back. Does a good job of getting this ball off on one hitch. Lays it out there for him and allows him to use that open space, walk into the end zone for a touchdown. We can use this off of a split zone action type look, but it's the same deal for the quarterback as far as the protection and the offensive line goes. So here's a look at a split zone run play for us. We're just running inside zone off of a split course from that tight end to handle the C-gap player. Now we can run that same look with this tight end coming across the formation. Sell the hard run action. Now the quarterback should be looking vertical to this shake route, working down. This is really like a 3-level flood concept for us. Quarterback does a good job going 1 to 2 down to his check down. So even when that shot play isn't there, it doesn't mean that we can't check the ball down, get it out to our outlet, and still get a nice 9-yard gain for the first down, move the chains, and get a nice efficient play. From the tight angle, we're still doing a half slide protection, carrying out the play fake to the running back. Gives the quarterback a nice solid protection. We even have this tight end on the backside here in a 12 personnel type set. Chipping, like we talked about earlier, selling the run action hard to the defense, giving this slot receiver, even as you can see, a free release to where this Sam linebacker here has his eyes in the backfield. He doesn't get out to reroute versus the slot receiver, and he gives this guy a better opportunity to now run his route off of this quarter safety here. We've seen a press quarters look. Do a better job here from the slot, not getting collisioned by that safety. A little double move here on the sail route. We still get a nice gain. Next protection look we got here is more based off of a gap scheme look now. So in this picture to the left, our backside, so we would be running this as if we're running some sort of like a power read or a power look or a trap look going to our left. So normally in that power read type world, we would gap hinge to our backside. Now we're just going to lock man on man with the backside defensive end. So we're running power to the left here, our power protection here to the left. Our center is going to block back on the shade or the 3-tech in a 4-down type scenario. And now our play side tackle and play side guard, if we get a play side 3-tech, this guard can stay heavy with no immediate threat in his inside gap. Tackle is going to block down that 3 technique, and the backside guard is going to pull just like you would on some sort of like a counter or a kick path to really kick out that defensive end, make sure that he wants to rush upfield and not let him retrace underneath, get a clear path on the quarterback. Same thing here with the 3-down front. We're going to lock on the backside defensive end. We're going to pull to kick that C-gap player, make sure he rushes upfield. Don't allow him to retrace underneath to get to the quarterback. Center can really stay hard on that nose, unless if there is some sort of an immediate backside threat or we get some sort of Sam pressure, but he's ultimately responsible for this backside A gap to backside B gap. Can hang hard on that nose, helping out this guard who's down blocking and gapping away to that play side A gap. And now this tackle, if we get a walked up outside linebacker in this 3-down front, he can expect movement from this play side D tackle or defensive end who's in a head up 4 or an inside 4-eye. We can now collect him as he crosses face, being responsible for that B gap player. And now we can kick out. Really, this just goes to a bench front based off of post snap movement with guys getting into gaps, depending on how they move post snap. So we got a look here of a power read type action that we use in this game.
Hey, Ryan, I just want to interrupt you real quick. If you go back to your last screen for me, Anthony Trotta, Coach Anthony Trotta had a good question here. What if they walk up the weak side inside linebacker? Does that mess with the protection at all? And I'm not sure, Anthony, I put in the chat there if you're talking about the zone scheme or the gap scheme, but that was a question that just came in for you.
Yeah, so that is one of the issues as far as backside pressure in this play action pass gap scheme. So if we have this back on a normal downhill power path, he will look to fit to the backside B gap, so he can account for 1 on the backside. Now it takes 2 to be hot on the backside of this protection if we're keeping the running back in on this scheme. Now in the clip that you'll see coming up, we'll be actually doing a flash action to marry it with our power read type scheme, to where any sort of backside pressure out of a 4-down front, the quarterback will be hot off of that. So if the center were to block back and we were to get some sort of a backside movement on this 3-down front, we would be okay. But versus a 4-down front to where the center is now occupied by this nose and we're flashing this back across the face. If this Mike linebacker on the backside of this protection was to blitz that B gap, the quarterback would have to take his alert throw and get the ball out hot. But ideally, we're having some sort of a hot throw built into the pass concept that we have married with this, knowing that there is the opportunity for the quarterback to be hot.
Cool. Perfect.
Here's a look at the power read scheme. So for this, we're double teaming back to the backside inside linebacker, blocking back on this 3 technique, gap hinging right there. And then we're going to actually kick this play side defensive end and read this will linebacker right here. So if the will flies out of the box with the flash action, the quarterback will keep the ball and work off of this pulling guard. So if we get that defensive end kicked out, he'll crease this thing right off that double team and hit it up inside. And if we get a log here, he'll just adjust off that puller and make him right. So once again, we're getting a double team here, back to that backside inside linebacker, gap hinging with that tackle. So he'll stab the outside shoulder of that 3 technique, and then gap hinge back to take care of the C gap player or the defensive end. Center will block back after getting delivered from the tackle to that backside 3 technique, and we'll kick out to log this play side defensive end, reading this play side inside linebacker. So back flashes across his face. Quarterback sees the will linebacker there fly out of the box, and he'll keep it adjusting to that polar's course for a nice game. Now you see the play action that's married to it. So here for the pass scheme, we'll have a delayed release from the Y, have a bender here from number 3 to the trip side, and then a double in on the backside there. So the quarterback's reading this. He's initially going to key through the mesh. This corner who's tilted back, they get a double rotation here to where this is a safety. This is the boundary safety. Normally, they're rotating and playing in and out with the Mike and the rotated safety on 2 and 3. He's playing 3 vertical to 2 vertical and trying to keep numbers in the box. So a good look for them to take away potentially a run scheme with getting extra guys in the box. Now's a great time for us to take advantage of that, using some one-on-one matchups on the outside. So through the quarterback's mesh, this corner here isn't playing aggressively down to the run fit, so immediately his eyes should get to this backside inside linebacker. If he carries with this bender, he's now working inside out to the 2 in-breaking routes on the outside. Here the quarterback feels pressure. Ideally, if we're teaching progressions, you'd like for him to step up in the pocket off a 1 hitch and make this throw to the backside, that first in-breaking route, and get the ball off before the pressure gets there. But he does feel the pressure, gets out of pocket, and we do a great job of working our scramble drill to where we're adjusting our routes to the sideline and taking it up the field, getting guys to the back corner, and being a late drag player to where we're ending up making a play. Quarterback does a great job here of getting that clear out route. So we're teaching the deepest route to the boundary here of these 2. We'll clear this thing out. He'll be working to get into the quarterback's vision to the sideline. He'll be a high back pylon player, and he'll be a late drag trying to get into the quarterback's vision late. Quarterback does a great job of getting out of pocket. Receiver is doing a great job of adjusting their routes to the scramble drill type look. We're able to get a big play and close the gap against a really good Princeton team that we saw midway through the year. Protection-wise, we're getting the delay off of here, so it's a good job of occupying this defensive end. With no immediate inside presence for the guard, he can hang heavy to feel movement from this 3 technique. Tackle will be blocking down to anything retracing over the top if this tackle wants to go away. Center is blocking back for the backside A gap, and this backside tackle is man-on-man for that backside defensive end. The tackle kind of goes away. He gets eyes too for this linebacker coming across. We do a good job of picking this up. The guard really needs to be pulling here for this player, but we're never going to pass up color on a guy that is coming down through that play side B gap. So quarterback does a good job, like I said, of getting out of pocket, making a nice play on the run, getting us 6. So the last protection-wise that I want to talk about today was very similar to that first protection that we saw earlier as far as based off of the zone scheme. So we're still getting a good play action fake. But now with this double chip protection, the Y has no response, or our tight end in our offense designated as the Y has no responsibility in the protection. So he's free to chip off of that defensive end, give that tackle some help to give the quarterback some more time in the pocket, and then get out as a check down late into the flat here on some of the route combinations that you'll see coming up. The running back still has his normal half slide protection. So in this case, if the quarterback slid to the right, set the Sam as the point, he'd be checking -1 to -2. If neither of those guys come, he can now work out to try to chip and help that backside tackle or the man side tackle, which is really the hardest block here in this protection, to help out with that guy in that defensive end, trying to chip through his outside shoulder, but don't want to knock that tackle off of his block to the point where now that end is retracing inside and getting a clean hit on the quarterback. So with that, we'll talk about some of the true pass concepts I want to talk about off of all these protections that we can do. And the first one is this middle read type concept. So the basis of this is this interior slot route. It's a 3 verticals type concept to where this will always be the fixed route in the concept. And then we can now tag the 2 outside routes. This would be middle read with a go tag. We could tag it as a stop, or we could tag it as some sort of a double move, like we'll see a sluggo type route off of a slant and go as well. So we'll have the hard run action from the quarterback, marrying it with one of our schemes that we'll see that you saw with the pass protection cut-ups that we had in here earlier. Now on the outside, really his progression is to look for a one-on-one matchup on the outside. So out of a look like this, some sort of a quarters look, we're going to get a press man or a meg look into the boundary. To where if we can get a matchup one on the outside versus one high and no safety help over the top, we'll take that all day, every day. If we don't like the matchup on the outside, especially into the boundary, making it a shorter, easier throw, we can then work to our middle read route here. So with this, if we get middle of the field open, we have a safety on this hash and a safety on this hash. This is a read route here by our slot receiver, our number two receiver here to the backside. So with this versus middle of the field open, he's looking to bend the inside hand of that safety and not cross the opposite hash to potentially run into this backside safety. So we're releasing off of a Sam linebacker or a nickel as this overhang field defender, making sure we get a clean release off of him. Hopefully with this play action fake, we're not allowing him to get hands-on and reroute our number 2 receiver here. And then at 12 yards depth, he's going to run his release, or run his route rather, off of this split field safety. He's trying to bend his inside hand, keep this thing as skinny as possible, but still winning inside of this safety and not crossing that opposite hash. Now, if the defense is in middle of the field closed, so we get the safety rotation down, middle of the field is closed, we now have the ability to cross that opposite hash and bend this thing underneath that middle of the field safety. We don't want to take this thing so flat to where this guy can now retrace and get over the top, but we still have more of an ability to where now we can still run our release off this Sam defender in a potential cover 3 type look, clearing him and then bending this thing over to get in between the 2 hook defenders, as you'll see in some clips here. Really, if we get man coverage, some sort of a cover 1 type look, we're going to look to hit one of these outside balls, especially with a robber defender. It's where we're looking for our best matchup and the most press coverage with our best advantage to win, then working this middle read route potentially versus man. If we get bracket to this side, so some sort of an outside leverage concept from a Sam linebacker and then a field safety. Sorry about that. Playing inside leverage here and then playing some sort of like a cloud look to the boundary. We would then look to get a one-on-one matchup to the field. And I think the best way to go about evaluating the different concepts that you have in your offense are there different types of throws, and is the quarterback able to go through his full progression in the postseason cut-ups when you're watching it like we'll see here. So hopefully seeing a variety of throws, seeing different level type throws to different pieces of the progression here as we go. So in this first look, we get a middle of the field open look. We get pressed into the boundary. So my quarterback's first thought here should be we get press coverage. If this safety is playing down or wants to rotate off the hash and we get a one-on-one matchup to our matchup win into the boundary, great. We should be off of a one-hitch throw, riding the play action fake, and off of one hitch working this takeoff route into the boundary. So he's taking the best available release, trying to get a clean release off of this man corner or a meg corner here in this quarters type look. Restacking the defender, staying hard to the bottom of the numbers, allowing the quarterback to throw us outside off of a one-hitch throw, just like he does here. So post-snap, we see that safety playing a little bit flat-footed with the ability, based on when that guy opens the hips and run, with him being inside, we're already about a yard underneath where that safety's at. It's a good opportunity for us to take advantage of that. Quarterback does a good job riding the play action fake, getting it off on one hitch, and giving our receiver a chance to catch the football. The one thing we don't want to do on fade balls is overthrow our receiver. It would be nice to drop it in and let him catch this thing on the run and drop it in the bucket, but we never want to overthrow him and would rather give him a shot at a 50-50 ball to where this corner is now playing through his body. We get a chance at a PI and give our guy a better chance to make the play. Now, let's say for some reason the quarterback didn't like this. He sees the safety who's in a little bit of a slow pedal off the ball, doesn't like the look with middle of the field open here. He can still work to the backside of this quarters concept. For now, we're bending the inside hand of the safety right about this 12-yard mark right here. Great copper route here by the slot receiver here to the field. Takes a good pressure step at about 12 yards. Great route depth. Play action freezes this Sam linebacker where he's not able to expand into the flat and get hands-on to our slot receiver. We get a clean release off of him. So this is a pretty viable option to both our first and our second read in this progression. We get the double chip protection here. So this was a defensive line, Harvard, Princeton, two of the really great defensive lines in our conference. So anytime that it wasn't necessary for us to get a tight end or a running back immediately out into a route and be in a 5 or 6 man true protection, we were trying to keep them in to give our tackles some help as much as possible, as you'll see here. So tight end has no responsibility in the protection. He'll chip right away. Back is going to carry out his fake with no immediate second level threat for his responsibility in the protection. We slide to the left. Really gives a good job of mirroring the run action for zone action to the left, keeping low hats. Back is working -1 to -2 if we set this out to the Sam. Now those guys declare. We're trying to get a chip off, give our quarterback some extra time. Taking a good same foot, same shoulder from the tight end there, getting off into the flat to where if the quarterback had to, as we'll see here in a little bit, the ability to check the ball down to our back or to our tight end. Next clip here, similar quarters type look. Here we're out of a 3-by-1 set with the tight end here, so they're going to play a solo type look where now this backside boundary safety is looking to poach anything coming across. So that safety is playing hard across the hash. We get one-on-one press coverage here, and now the quarterback does a great job of taking advantage of a back shoulder type throw here. So this receiver that we had to the into the boundary was great at back shoulder type throws, and our quarterback really off of his read here, as he's hitching up, he is trying to see, do I have my guy's color or is he past the corner and I see corner's color? So if I'm seeing my guy's color, I want to throw this as a back shoulder type ball. So as he's going through his read, as he's getting ready to unload this throw, he still sees my guy color. Great, we'll put this thing back shoulder. Wide receiver throws the corner by, does a great job of adjusting to the ball. We get a nice 24, 25-yard gain. So great example of pre-snap. We talk about Fresco front. We get a 4-down front, rotation. We get middle of the field open, knowing a 3-by-1. They're going to try to play some sort of a poach or a solo coverage. With that post-snap rotation, eyes of the defenders, we get a quarters look. Corner to the boundary, playing press man, corner to the field, gives us a quarters indicator to where he could read and play the out cut and sort of like a palms type look here to the field. Great option, especially with this safety to the field playing inside leverage. If we want to bend this thing across, it's going to be harder. We'd have to probably take a better inside stem from our receiver here to run through the inside hand of the safety. So just talking about the route here from the slot receiver this time, ideally we're breaking this thing a little bit cleaner across his face and not trying to bend this thing over the top to where if the quarterback did come off of his front side read, we're able to hitch up on the backside and get this thing out as a viable option. If not, we can still check the ball down, but need to do a better job there from the slot, giving our quarterback a better chance to make a throw if he were to get off of his initial read here in the progression. Same look here out of that 2x2 look we had initially. Now this time the corner starts to bail on the snap of the ball. So they give us some sort of a press quarters, a quarters lock type look where they're playing Meg. All right, same look here from the safety. If we get the same picture post-snap as we're thinking pre-snap, it could be a good option to go to this one-on-one matchup winner here to the boundary. They bail. Quarterback sees that through his drop. He gets his eyes immediately backside to where now we can win off of this safety on the middle read type route. We hold that alley defender, that Sam, just long enough to where he doesn't get hands on. We don't get collision. We make our point of break once again with a great pressure step at 12 yards. Bending this thing on the inside hand of that safety. Play action pauses those linebackers for just a second where now that hole dropper isn't getting underneath the vertical route. Quarterback does a great job of throwing a level 2 ball off of one hitch. Gets the ball up and down over the linebacker, underneath the safety. Gets it up and down, gets a great completion, gets us a first down on 1st and 10. Need to score some points here in the third quarter to where we get an explosive play. Helps us out to move the ball down the field. Next look here, we're getting a quarters type look, off coverage again. So the quarterback's getting off of that initial read to where this corner to the boundary is playing bail. Get a little bit of hands on here to reroute that middle read type route. Might be some confusion here with a little bit of safety rotation, even though it is still a quarters look. It's still technically middle of the field open. There's no middle of the field post safety, but the receiver bends this thing as if it is. So this is kind of one where he gets put a little bit in jeopardy to where if this backside safety was just playing a true straight pedal and then broke immediately on the ball, we could be getting our head taken off across the middle to where ideally we're just bending this thing just inside the inside hand of this safety, not crossing the hash. For now, we take a hit on the opposite side of the field, reduces our chances for completion. We still do a good job here, getting the ball up and down, getting over that hole dropper underneath the safety. Off of the bend read versus middle of the field open. So off of his front side read, gets the middle read, hitches up in the pocket. Would like to see him get this thing off just a little bit sooner to not take, one, not allow this hole dropper to get as much depth, and two, not let the safety retrace and get back, cover the middle of the field. So ideally, we're taking this off of a one hitch type throw. He hitches up twice and shuffles in the pocket to where ideally we're getting this thing up and down a little bit sooner, but ultimately not the end of the world here as we still get the completion. Last one here. So in that piece of fresco and the pre-snap checklist for the quarterback, the last thing that we talk about is overall situation. So here's a situation where it's 3rd and 26, right? We're desperately trying to get points here. It's a very tight ball game coming down to the wire to where it's back and forth. It's a one possession game. We're still in the first half here, but it's a difference between going up 13-0 and going up still being up 10-0 if we're on this fringe of where our kicker's ability is. So we still have a shot where we're at right now, but ideally, worst case scenario is we throw an interception here. So they're in a look where they're playing drop 8, cover 6, where they're playing quarters here to the field, playing cloud coverage here to take away our vertical threat into the boundary. So the worst thing the quarterback could do here is throw 50-50 ball up with a half field safety and then bracketing this number 1 receiver. They're playing outside leverage and bracketing our number 2 receiver, and this throw to the field here is a dangerous throw. The best thing that we can do here is check the ball down to our back or to our tight end who's still getting out on a chip protection, get a 12-yard gain here, and now put us in a great position to go up 13-0 and get into field goal range. As we see here, tight end gets a chip versus a wide 9, 3 down front. We get a chip there, get some knockdown. Nice clean pocket for the quarterback. Goes through his reads, nothing there, nothing there. Checks the ball down to his back. We get a nice 12-yard gain. Put us in a great position to get a field goal here. Now, for teams that are starting to play more off coverage and they want to bracket your slot receiver here to the field to really take away all the throws here, we can tag the outside routes. Here we'll see where we'll run a stop. So our stop route is we're pushing up to 10, snapping back down the stem at 9 and pivoting out to where the quarterback off of a one-hitch throw can throw this thing to our outside shoulder, as he does here. So if we start seeing corners that want to bail like we saw versus Princeton, those last couple clips after we take advantage of them on a go ball in that quarters look, they want to start bailing as opposed to running goes on the outside. We can still have this middle read type look. We're bending the inside hand of that safety. They're really trying to play 2-on-1 here and play inside leverage bracket to where they're rerouting, getting hands on. They're going 2 for 2, playing mod here to the field. We can win versus soft leverage or soft coverage here into the boundary on a stop route as well. Still getting the outlet throw for a check down out to our tight end, out to our back on the chip protection. Our back could get out late. We could check it down to him if neither of these throws were available. Last one here, not a completion, but just the last kind of piece of it. As far as this first concept, the first of the two that we'll talk about, just sluggo. So 3-step slant, 3 steps into the slant route, and then we'll leave the corner of the safety inside on this sluggo type look. So still the middle read route stays the same. Versus middle of the field open, we're going to bend the inside hand of that safety. Once again, playing an inside leverage bracket to the field. Quarterback gives us a chance. We'd like to sell the slant route a little bit harder, get that corner's hips flipped a little bit more so we could sell one more revolution towards the slant. Force this corner as he opens up his hips on the vertical threat now, make him really turn his hips inside and then throw him by, leave him inside. Get a better release on the slant. Not something that we majored in necessarily on the sluggo type route, but still another change up to where if they are biting on slant routes or biting on stop routes, you can do a hitch and go, some sort of a double move type route on the outside and still having the middle read component on the inside. Any questions before I get into the last concept off of play action that we'll talk about this evening?
No, sir. Nothing in the chat.
Awesome. So this last one will be off of a bubble or a swing type screen. So some sort of an RPO that we're throwing to either a 3-by-1 bubble, so we're blocking MDM and the primary run support player. We get a quarters look, we can push crack up to a safety on either some sort of an orbit motion type swing screen or just a straight 3-by-1 bubble screen. So with this, we're going to have a lock post on the outside from the number 1 receiver to the bubble. He'll be taking this to about 12 yards and not crossing this near hash. Number 2 receiver will look to act as if he is blocking MDM, either the Sam if he's either head up or outside, or the corner if the Sam here is inside leverage. So he'll take it as if he is running a stalk block. He'll really try to sell like he's blocking that thing and now try to crease this thing, locking at the bottom of the numbers, trying to get into a potential hole shot type area or beating a vertical middle of the field close look versus a corner versus the flat defender. And then our third option here to the play side will be the bubble or the swing route, to where if both of these, if coverage lifts and both of those routes are covered, we can then check the ball down to the bubble as we would in an RPO. This That look was efficient for us as well. And a lot of times teams will lift with that coverage and we can check it down, still get a nice 6, 7, 8 yard gain. Now the cover zero alert, so kind of like we talked about earlier with having some sort of an outlet when you do have hot coverage. So we will run the power pass or like the trap pass type look with this, to where it's important for our quarterback versus cover zero. If they're bringing more than we can handle up front, we have an outlet for a hot throw to this go ball on the backside for the X. So the only time that the quarterback should be looking to throw this ball is if we get a cover zero blitz type coverage alert or something like that. Wanted to look at the run action, talking about formationally trying to sell a similar action in the same game. So this is a 3x1, 12 personnel type set. We're in a condensed bunch formation. We're running power read toss here to the field. Pinning down. Got the tight end coming around for corner or safety over the primary run support player is. He cleans up that Sam trying to retrace over the top. And we get a nice look here for when that end wants to surf off the hip of that tackle. Quarterback does a great job of reading the defensive end, pitching off that defensive end, and we get an explosive play. Just running a power read type scheme here, going 2 for 2 to the backside linebackers all the way back here. Center will block back on the 3 technique, gap hinging for the C gap player. And wants to squeeze hard, we'll pitch that thing off. Get a nice gain. So now we show that formation in that same run action multiple times. We get into the same formation and show the same run action here, but now it's a play action pass, right? So we get power protection up front. I'll show the protection first, where it's going to be the same look up front from the defense. We're gapping away. This is a great job of the tackle to where he sees front side, play side movement like we saw in the diagram earlier. He can expect for this defensive end to cross face and collect him. And now the guard is going to pull for the C-gap player. He gets tripped up. Not great job there on the pull. Look to open up and get some more depth there to clear out and not get tripped up by some backside penetration. But the quarterback does a good job of buying himself some time in the pocket, taking a gunslinger type throw where he's getting smacked in the mouth as he delivers this nice ball here on the stalk and go. So here we'll have the post for number 1. The point man will just run his little sit down route, and now off that same blocking scheme as we had there, stalk and go, a nice little hole shot there for our tight end. Next look here is off of an orbit type swing action. We'll get orbit motion to get in a 3x1 nub set. We'll get the stalk and go from number 1, or the lock post, sorry, for number 1, the stalk and go from number 2, and the check down from the number 3, new number 3 receiver after the motion here. Quarterback does a good job feeling the pressure. Get beat up front a little bit. Where we sell the stalk and go, beat that flat defender. Receiver does a good job of making a play on the stalk and go here for the first down. Protection-wise, it's just that half slide protection that we talked about earlier. Sliding to the left, tackle kind of gets beat across his face. So if we're sliding to the left, we're counting for these guys. With those 3 in the slide, we should be man on here, back selling his fake, and working here to here. We see this guy walked up. We can't abort the fake. The back does a good job of making the tackle right. Gives the quarterback some time to move out of the pocket, reset, and get the ball out on time. Here's out of a preset 3x1 type look. This stacks alignment is something that we'll run bubble out of quite a bit. So we throw bubble a few times. They get a little bit nosy. But now we start to get a creep from the backside safety and the Mike linebacker. So we're getting a double-edged blitz. So our cover 0 outlet, like we talked about, is this one-on-one matchup here into the boundary. once again doing a great job of seeing my color or his color. We see our color off of his hitch. Throws a back shoulder throw. Receiver does a great job making the adjustment. We get a nice gain and a first down. Good job of awareness by the quarterback, seeing blitz coverage, getting the ball out on time. And the receiver makes a great play on the one-on-one matchup type win. So that's all I got as far as presentation goes. If there's any questions, obviously I'd be happy to answer them as well.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll leave this open just for another minute, just in case anyone has any questions for Coach Swingle. Awesome stuff, man. No, that's really good. I love how you married each pass play with each run play. Just as we're closing out here, just a few questions for you. What do you think? What was your most successful type of play action this year? Whether it be the gap scheme, the zone scheme. I put a poll in the chat. What do you like better, the play action off zone scheme or play action off gap scheme? And 100% said play action off gap scheme. So do you think in your eyes that most effective from just a linebacker getting, guard pull? So I got a trigger now to get downhill. What did you guys see the most success?
Yeah, I would say as far like it's all about risk reward, right? I feel like the gap schemes have a better effect on the defense. But as we talked about earlier, it gives you a little bit more vulnerability on offense to where you could be hot a little bit easier. And there's a lot more moving pieces to where it's not as easy to teach,
Right.
not as a little bit higher risk, but there is some more reward. So I would say the zone type stuff is probably the more sound protection and gives the quarterback a better state of mind. But if it's all about making that snap decision and you're just trying to influence linebackers and you kind of know based on the pre-snap look to where you're not going to be hot and the quarterback doesn't have to check the protection, I think the gap scheme can certainly, if you can execute it well, there's a lot more reward for baiting linebackers, baiting safeties, and really marrying that hard run action with guys pulling and making it look more like a true gap scheme.
For sure. This is good. All right, perfect. We're just about 55 minutes right now, so I want to keep this roughly under an hour. So big thank you to everyone that tuned in, that asked questions throughout. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this video to the top of the chat and put it in the featured section. That way, if anyone wants to go back and rewatch it, they can. Coach Swingle, anything before we head out? I know you're active in the community as well, so if people have any questions, they can reach out to you directly. Anything else before we sign off?
Yeah, really appreciate the guys that hopped on this. If you need anything, my phone number is 216-313-7786, and my email is rs2222@cornell.edu. If you ever have any questions, like Coach said, I try to be a great resource for anyone that has any questions, both with football and as well as with recruiting. If you have any guys who are looking for a high academic IB fit that you'd like to get evaluated by our staff, would certainly be happy to take a look and give you guys some feedback.
Perfect. That's Coach Ryan Swingle. You can follow him on Twitter as well, Coach_Swingle. Coach has been working with us for a few years now, just helping out with victory stuff. So, it's always great to catch up and just talk football with him. I still say this, and I'll say it again a million times. I think he's one of the bright football minds that we have, in the college ranks right now. So, as young as he is, I think he's going to do some damage, especially in the next couple of years. So, Coach, thank you again for your time. Like I said, if you got any questions for me, for Coach, feel free to reach out. But everyone that watched and tuned in, thank you again, and we'll see you next time. I think we're off. This live video has ended. Let me just double check.
A couple of my players were texting me saying they were watching on from the one quarterback.
Oh, Duvia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know Sam Nelson?
No.
Brian Ehlerman?
No.
He's do you know where Fort Loramie High School is?
you know.
It's in Ohio.
That was fun. Fucking
Good shit, man. Yeah. Yeah, I love how you structured that too. Of like, here's the run. Okay, here's the pass. Here's the run. Here's the pass. So it's very easy to follow along with like, I'm looking at run plays. I'm like, how are you gonna throw the pass off a fake pitch action power read here? And then you're just like, dude, okay, here's the wheel. And the guy hits that
that
little
one was
shot there.
sexy. Even though the guard fell down, the quarterback did a great job of getting it off on time. Yeah, that was, and like and that's what we're trying to do more of going forward. Is like I've been studying like the Rams for our staff and like putting cut ups together, and that's been like my off season project so far for as far as like from Cornell, and I think they do an outstanding job of like they don't run that much. Like McVay is this fucking offensive guru, and like yeah, they do a decent amount, and like the drop back now with Stafford, but they have a very tight formational package to where they're running mid zone or outside zone duo as their base run schemes. Everything they run very little gap schemes,
Right.
if ever. Like it took until like week 6 against like the Texans, I think it was. They ran counter for the first time,
Oh, really?
and that was the first like true pulling gap scheme besides like duo. But I think of duo. I mean, duo is definitely a gap scheme, but it's more of those bastardized zone gap schemes as far as like not pulling guys and everything like that, and off of like the same motion, formation, whatever. They'll have play action married off of it, and then they'll have the fly sweep off of it, where they're selling zone action like mid zone, locking everyone play side,
Yeah.
then handing off the fly sweep backside, then having different ways to take a couple shot plays off of it, and then they get into empty on second and third down, double chip protection, guys in like wing alignment. They have a package off of that, and they get in a lot of empty stuff to allow, like, it forces the defense to where they're not just going to heat you up and bring pressure every time. If they do, great, we'll fucking live in that shit and have an outlet for it versus your off coverage.
Right.
And then if you want to sit back and play coverage, it gives the quarterback, especially at that level, the ability to like truly undress the defense and empty. You have to declare, or else
Right.
guys are going to be at least open off the snap. For guys are going to be out of position, spreading the field and forcing them. So I'm excited to continue to look at them, and I think they do a great job of that as far as like formationally trying to marry everything together and make it a tighter package.
Yep. That's cool, man. No, that's good stuff. That's like I said, I put that poll up. I was I was paying attention, but so this is pretty. I can't share my screen now. I have like Facebook does a really good job with this, man. So it shows like the live video, right? And then all the comments that come in on the side of it, and then it shows all the reactions too. Like, it shows like how many people shared it, how many people reacted to it, how many viewers we had. We had about 12 viewers consistently, which is pretty good, I thought, in a sense of like first one. I thought we'd only have like 3 or 4, so I'm actually happy people tuned in.
Yeah.
And then I put a poll, which apparently you can do like a live screen poll that like shows up on the screen. So I'll show you the picture. I had Danny take a picture of it, but right, yeah, swing, see, so I just sent it to you. So it pops up on the screen, and so it's like you kind of have to interact with it, right? Unless you just want to click the X. So, we had 7 people clicked play action off gap scheme, so it's a cool little way to interact. Trim your video, view post. Cool. So I just gonna figure out what to do with it next. Rate broadcast quality. That was pretty good. Quick help. All right, cool. I'll play around with this a little bit more. 57 minutes on the dot. We stopped.
Perfect time, right?
Good
Just
stuff.
under the hour.
Yep.
Not too dragging on.
That's it. So, what like I told you, I'm gonna chop this up probably Sunday night. I'm probably just gonna take like maybe half of what you did, and then make like a 10-minute YouTube video out of it.
Yeah, man. Do whatever you gotta do, man. Fucking whole clinic, whatever you want.
How'd it feel to get back into it? Feel good or what?
Dude, it feels good because like even here, like I don't necessarily always lead the room.
Right.
Because OC is the quarterback's coach, and
Right,
like
right.
I'll like talk for a couple minutes, but it's not like I haven't put together my own like install or presentation in a while.
Right.
It's good to like, especially I'm trying to fucking interview for a fucking job. Where that is, I don't know. Still trying to figure that out,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's good to at least like dust off the speaking to people and
Right,
presenting and
right.
like trying to teach and do all those things. That's like I fucking love that shit, bro. And that's why I miss so much about this job. Is like it's great, and I get to study football and I get to do all this cool stuff with like the actual football side of it and kind of like nerd out a little bit. But I still miss the actual teaching.
Yeah.
And even though like recruiting blows sometimes, I still miss fucking recruiting and like talking about football
Right.
recruits and getting them jacked up about coming and playing football. Take with every job, I
For
guess.
sure.
But
For sure. Yeah, that's you know what I wish I did? Actually, shit, I gotta hit stop recording.